The Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza. Medics scramble for the wounded as Israel intensifies its onslaught. Eyewitnesses say the army has been engaged in fierce fighting with Palestinian armed groups. Hundreds of thousands have been fleeing the violence. Here in Deir el-Balah, in the central Gaza Strip, hundreds of newly displaced civilians are trying to work out what happens next. Many have been forced to flee numerous times in the last 7 months. A reminder of what their parents or grandparents went through in 1948 when they fled to Gaza from elsewhere in Palestine, and of more recent turmoil.
We've lived through the Nakba more than once. We were displaced several times. We've experienced Palestinian exile several times. We were displaced in 2008, in 2014 and in 2022.
Deir el-Balah is part of the Israeli-designated expanded humanitarian area stretching north from the coastal strip of Al-Mawasi. At the nearby Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, there's no medication. The only hope for patients like Mohammed Imad, who lost his eyesight in a bombardment, is leaving the Gaza Strip.
He has the right to treatment and medical care. We hope they'll be able to open Rafah border crossing for humanitarian cases so people can receive treatment and get medication.
The greatest fears are for people in the south. Israel claims its threatened ground offensive on Rafah hasn't begun. But at the city's Kuwait hospital, they're busy dealing with the latest casualties of the assault. People like 12-year-old Osama. We were about to leave, he says, while I was saying goodbye to my family. A bright flash shone in my eyes, and then the bombing happened. We started running out of fear. The EU and Turkey have urged Israel to end its operation in Rafah immediately to allow the distribution of humanitarian aid. Speaking for Israel's staunchest ally, the US Secretary of State, on a visit to Ukraine, said Israel must have a clear plan for the day after the conflict in Gaza.
We do not support and will not support an Israeli reoccupation. We also, of course, do not support Hamas governance in Gaza. We know and have seen where that's led all too many times for the people of Gaza and for Israel. And we also can't have anarchy and a vacuum that's likely to be filled by chaos.
But Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has insisted there's no point discussing what comes next until Hamas has been defeated militarily. And he's denied there's a humanitarian crisis in southern Gaza, despite the UN's desperate appeals. All the while, Palestinians bury their dead and wonder when peace will come. Nadim Baba, TRT World.